Hello guys and welcome back to the IELTS Grind. You guys have been asking us to give you more speaking stuff, some more high-level speaking stuff.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today.
That's right. I'm Michael.
And I'm Phil. And what we're going to do today is just answer some questions from the IELTS speaking test to give you examples of basically high-level sentence structures and high-level vocabulary.
What we want you guys to be doing is seeing the high-level words that we flash on the screen as we use them, and then also look at how we structure our answers, and finally steal sentences that you like.
That's the best way to improve quickly. So guys, in the IELTS exam, you can use British English or you can use American English. It makes no difference, but you should be familiar with both versions of the language. So today, we're going to be using American English to answer these questions. So over to you, Mike.
I like how you leave.
Let's talk about health.
Okay.
Is it important to you to avoid unhealthy foods?
It should be more important to me. I'm not the healthiest person. I do like to go out and eat McDonald's and candy bars and unhealthy foods, but I know that I should not be eating them so much.
If you caught a cold, what did your parents do to make you feel better?
Well, they took pretty good care of me when I got sick. Let's see, they would make sure I was resting, they would call into school so I wouldn't have to go, they would give me like chicken soup. It was quite nice.
Do you stay up to date with public information about health?
Definitely, especially now with the pandemic that's happening. I stay up on it quite a lot. It's quite scary. Now, before that happened, I really didn't research it that much, but now that it's everywhere and it's so important, I definitely do.
How could you be healthier?
There's so many things I could do. I could start exercising. I could exercise more. I could go to the gym, go swimming, go running. There's so many things that I should be doing. I also could be eating more healthy. I could be eating less junk food. I could be eating more fruits and vegetables instead of just going out and eating the oily food that's convenient around my house. I could cook more. Oh, so many things.
Now I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you'd like to say. If you want, you can make some notes. Describe a time when you were waiting for someone or something and it arrived late. You should say who or what you were waiting for, how late it was, why it was arriving late, and explain how you felt about this situation.
Okay.
Remember, you'll have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this. Don't worry if I interrupt you, and you can start talking now.
Okay, so you've asked me to talk about a person or something that arrived late, and I'd like to tell you about something that happened to me just a few days ago. So I was going to be meeting a friend of mine. His name is also Mike, and he was going to be sitting down and we were going to have a nice lunch together, and he was also going to give me the key so that I could use it to open up his studio the next day. And so we had made plans earlier to meet at New York Bagel. And the New York Bagel is really close to his house. It's just right across the street from his house. And it's a bit far away from me. So I made sure that I got there on time. I texted him that I was leaving, but he didn't say that, the line didn't say that he had read it. So I assumed he was sleeping in, which was fine. I arrived at New York Bagel. I got a seat for the two of us. And I sat down and waited for him. And I texted him a few more times. I even called him, but he didn't get any of those messages. And I was quite hungry, so I ordered for myself, and he still wasn't picking up by the time I had finished my meal. Finally, about like an hour later, he called me and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was sleeping." And I said, "It's fine, we can meet tomorrow or later this evening." He said, No, I'll be there soon." And so about 15 minutes later, he arrived, he grabbed his own food, and he gave me the key and we chatted, we had a nice time. He was so apologetic, but I was like, it's fine. I do this to people all the time. And then he, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of time together because I had to go to work soon. So after about 45 minutes, I said my goodbyes and was on my way. Uh, um, I didn't feel too upset about this situation, again, because I'm a pretty understanding guy. Most things don't faze me. It didn't
Thank
seem...
you. Are you still friends with Mike now?
I hope so.
Okay. We've been talking about you having to wait for something that was late. Now I'd like to talk with you about this with a few related questions. Let's consider, first of all, arriving early.
Okay.
Sorry.
He's laughing because I don't usually arrive early.
What are some situations where arriving early is important?
I think it's important to arrive early if it's like a work or something where you need to show your professionalism. I think the best example of this that I can think of is probably interviews. You really want to arrive early at an interview so that you don't arrive late. Important meetings with clients or customers is also extremely important. I think it's also important to arrive early if you really care about a person and it's a special event or a special day for them. For example, a wedding or a funeral. I think these are all really good examples of that.
In your culture, is it important to arrive early to things?
You know, punctuality isn't quite as important in American culture as it is in other cultures. Like we care about it more than people in like Italy do or Spain, but we don't care about it as much as people in Germany or the UK. You should arrive on time at things, but if you're 5 or 10 minutes late, it's not a huge deal. Of course, it does vary person to person, but it's not that important overall.
What can people do to make sure they arrive early to things?
I think setting an alarm is probably the best thing. If they use something like Google Calendar or any other calendar app, that's also can help. A lot of people actually have personal planners that they use to map out their days. So yeah.
Let's move on and talk about being patient.
Okay.
What are some jobs that can only be done by patient people?
I think most jobs are better if the person doing them are patient, but where it's absolutely essential, I would think teaching is one good example. If you're impatient, you know, you're going to get really upset and angry at your students, and that's going to create a sour relationship with them, and you're probably not going to have many more students. I think it's also important, like if you're a professional chess player, patience is really important. Let's see, maybe a doctor or a nurse, maybe?
You were talking about teachers. Do you think this is a skill that most teachers actually have?
Yes, the ones that stick around. The ones that stick around are definitely patient, because the ones that are impatient don't really last very long.
Is it ever acceptable to be impatient?
I think that there are definitely situations where it's understandable. For example, if you're waiting in line and someone cuts in front of you, or if someone promised you something and they're late, that's another time when it's perfectly acceptable to be a bit impatient.
Some people say that as people get older, they get more patient. What do you think?
I don't know if this is true. I think it's something that people like to say, but it's not exactly true all the time. I think, you know, getting older as I am, I'm realizing that I'm actually getting a bit more impatient in life than I used to be. And I think, you know, when you're older and people treat you with more respect, you have higher expectations. And so if they don't meet them, it leads you to become angry or impatient.
What is something that an older person might become impatient about?
Maybe like their grandkids, like if their grandkids are being wild and the grandfather or grandmother is telling them to calm down, but they're not listening. They may lose their patience with the children. Also, this is not so much in my culture, but I see this a lot in Taiwanese and Chinese culture, where the grandparents are impatient with their children for having more children. Like they're impatient to get grandchildren. So that's a pretty common one.
Thank you. That's the end of the speaking test.
Oh. Phil, you're back! I've missed you!
I've always been here, Michael. I've never left. Okay, guys, so hopefully you found some really useful sentences that Mike used answering those questions and some great vocabulary that you can apply to a similar test if you come across it in the arts.
Remember to also be looking at how I structured my answers. Generally, in English, we directly answer the question and then we give supporting details later, and this is not something that all cultures or languages do. So it's something you need to learn.
Yeah. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. If you did find this a useful video, don't forget to give us a like because it tells us whether or not you liked it and if we should make more videos like this in the future. So we will see you in a very similar video very soon.
Remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.
See you later.